How the sea country and Russia overtook the West. It has not been emphasized enough how severe and humiliating a defeat the 10 March Beijing tripartite deal represents for the US. Given that dollarization of the global energy market has always been the linchpin of the US domination of the world economy itself, this would indeed be a nuclear blast. On the surface level, it does indeed appear that the sea country is superseding the US as a dominant diplomatic power in the Gulf, and Saudi Arabia and Iran joining the BRICS is a huge deal. The current 5 members, the sea country, Russia, Brazil, India and South Africa, make up 41% of the world's population, 16% of world trade, 24% of GDP, and if we were to expand to Saudi Arabia and Iran, almost half of the global oil reserves, 60% of gas and many rare earth elements needed for battery production would be traded using the RMB or BRICS reserve currency of some kind, immune from Western sanctions. This would naturally be incredibly destabilizing to the petrodollar and the IMF special drawing right currency. This would be a huge win for Iran, for it bypasses half a century of American sanctions and gives the current revolutionary regime international legitimacy, especially important during a time of internal instability. This is also a win for the Islamic powers in the region as a potential way of isolating the US-backed Israel. And for Biden personally, it's a very public humiliation. This started from his framing of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman as a global pariah because of his assassination of a journalist, only to later to beg the prince to ramp up oil production to fight global inflation, only for the prince to decrease oil production. And now this tripartite deal between Iran, Saudi Arabia and the sea country has all been done without Biden and America. However, we mustn't take all these sensationalist headlines and TikTok commentators at face value, for this chain of events was the result of BRICS weakness by the collapse of the power projection ability of the most influential BRICS country in the Gulf, being Russia. Putin was the provider of military and economic support for Syria and Iran, and now being unable to help, those two internationally isolated nations are looking to normalize relations with others in the area, for now their foreign backer is unable to save them. Being unable to use the West as diplomatic brokers, as they have no formal diplomatic relationship with them, they instead are now using the next most influential country, being the sea country. So already we are seeing tensions in the Gulf between these two BRICS countries. The sea country is moving in, taking advantage of Russia's weakness. It may be under the guise of BRICS, but it undermines the unity of the association and primarily advances the sea country's interests only. Russian weakness is also affecting its relationship with India. Only a few days ago, the Indian Air Force revealed that Russia was unable to deliver military supplies to India. This is worrying because India has relied on Russian and Soviet arms for many decades, and this will only accelerate the shift towards sourcing arms from the West. And two other countries within BRICS who dislike each other intensely are India and the sea country. The latter has ambitions to become the leader of the association like America with NATO. However, India has similarly lofty ambitions to be a pillar in the new multipolar world, and the historical and cultural enmity between the two nations and people is bound to result with them trying to outmaneuver and sabotage each other, each trying to secure their own interests well before the more high-minded interests of BRICS. And can the sea country's RMB actually replace the petrodollar? Well, it all depends on whether the sea country's economy can actually stabilize, because a stable currency is the prerequisite, and things don't look good. As I've said many times before, their economy is on the brink of going into freefall. Furthermore, the Russian economy is even worse, and Brazil's and South Africa's aren't much better. We also have to remember that the sea country is not a replacement for America in the Gulf. The only soldiers there are the 50,000 or so American ones in Saudi Arabia, and any real change in the area would undoubtedly see America intervene. And last of all, the BRICS association is just generally very weak. It's been in existence since the 2000s and has almost nothing to show for it. There was an expectation that they would become strong and well dominating, for they were rapidly growing economies with unlimited potential. But 20 years later, they've all pretty much reached their peak, and we can see that they're in no position position to change the world order. And all the other nations that want to join are even more corrupt and unstable, and there's no real ideological unity, apart from the shared wish to undermine the status quo Western hegemony. I suspect the next time Saudi Arabia executes a high-profile Shia dissident, or a pro-Iranian demonstrator attacking the Saudi embassy in Tehran, or even the seemingly inevitable collapse of Russia, the dream of BRICS becoming a world-dominating organization would probably end soon after that. Thanks for listening.